I picked one of the hottest days of the year in Oklahoma to do this, and it is like an oven in this shop. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. So finally got the spare tire mounted. I had to extend this out, this bracket that was on the back for this tire carrier. And essentially what I did, I took the existing bracket and essentially just added some gas pipe to it and welded it on real good, repainted it, extended it out far enough to where now the tire sits on there nice and straight, and then it's still got a spot for the tag bracket to sit right there. So basically just kind of getting some little things buttoned up on that, but good to get that on. I started taking the soft top off, just trying to see kind of how much work am I going to need to do when I start getting ready for this the bed liner treatment. And you know, there is quite a bit of little nicks and stuff all the way over it, so I think I'm going to do the entire tub, at least on the inside and then on the outside down, and then I'm going to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with the front. I might just do the hood only, or just the fenders only, or because I do like this color. I like the blue color, so I'm kind of wanting to keep that somewhere on the Jeep, but the rest of it's going to be black, so maybe I'll just keep the hood blue or something. I don't know. I'm kind of figuring that out. So getting the soft top taken off. I've been messing with the engine a little bit, just cleaning it up, kind of getting things ready. And right now I'm trying to figure out where to put this gas can. So I've been waiting to basically put this gas can, figure out where I want this gas can to go until I had the spare on here, just to see exactly how much space I've got. It's actually sitting a little bit closer to this side than this side. And so in order to retrieve access to my my handle and my latch over here, and I'm trying to keep a lot of weight off of this side. It's got a lot more stability on this side. I think I'm going to put it over here. So I'm going to mount it on this side, right next to this tire, and essentially that location. I've got a little bit of space in between the tire and the gas can. I'm not sticking out past the tire carrier on this side, and obviously because it's got these anchor points on this side, I just feel like having less weight on the kind of the farthest end of this when I swing it out is probably going to be the best. So I'm rigging up something right now. If you go back to my previous videos, there is a little channel here for essentially an older style of jerry can, and this has got a smooth bottom, so I've got to adapt something. Ran across this, basically it's a fender bracket for a Harley Davidson, I think, and I'm just bending this up to basically see if it can fit. I figured if I could get it to kind of sit something like this. It's got this hole on one side, and then I've got another hole, you can't really see it, but it's behind this tire carrier that's a tab sticking out, that I could run a bungee cord, one of those really heavy duty black bungee cords, up through it, and it would hold it on real nice and tight when you go out on the trails. So I'm just going to adapt this bracket and weld it onto this piece, and it should fit something similar to, you know, it's going to sit kind of just like that. 100 degrees inside this shop right now, so not very comfortable. But cool thing about this project is not only am I just doing some little things on the Jeep, again, nothing major, just kind of using this video to kind of show you some of the smaller projects that I'm doing on the way to the bigger project, which is the bed coat that I'm going to be putting on it. I get to use my Grandfathers Anvil. And so I get to bend this bracket into place, and I'm using my grandfather's anvil that he had in his shop. And so anytime I get to come to the shop and do something with some parts or tools or things like that that came from my grandfather, my parents, my father-in-law, things like that, it always makes a project go a little bit better in my mind. That's just something that I enjoy doing, is using a passed down tool, and it's something that I was very glad that I was able to get whenever my grandfather passed away. It means a lot to me, and so getting to beat on metal on an anvil that my grandfather beat metal on is pretty cool in my eyes. Alright, so basically I'm just coming over here. I've already beat on it a little bit and flattened it out. This was a lot more U-shaped. This bracket was a little bit more rounded, so I beat it down flat. But essentially right now I've got a little bit of an issue that I beat it too much. So I'm going to basically widen it back out a little bit because it won't fit around the tank. And And now that's a lot better. Fits over there really nice. It's got a little bit of space to it, and then I can use this eyelet, like I said, maybe if I weld it to where it's a little bit off center, weld it to like this, I can use this eyelet to attach a bungee cord to and then run it through the bottom, or run it through the top handle. I really don't have a use for this little tab on the end here. It came down. I thought about maybe I could use it for, you know, like a bungee cord, kind of hold it in place on each side. You know, you hate to cut things off because you just don't know if you're going to use them, but I think in the long run I don't need that. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm getting real close to the point where I can weld this on. Looks good, guys. I think I'm going to use that as my finished product. Now it's just going to be welded up to the Jeep, and we'll see kind of how this looks. As I'm looking at this, rather than just kind of welding this onto that bracket, if I could make a notch in this little ledge right there, and essentially just kind of follow me along here, I'm just going to make a notch in it to where I can slide this back to right about here, and then I've got a lot better weldable area, and I can fill that entire area up with a weld and keep it strong, and then basically it's kind of locked in there tight, and then I'll take it back to about right there. So I'll make this slit in here probably till about right there. From there, in the bottom of this, just cut it back, and then this slides in right there. And that should be a pretty strong place to hold things. So about halfway through. The problem is I'm my cutoff wheel is too short. It's too small in diameter to get back in there, so I'm gonna have to go to a different piece of equipment. Actually, that might actually work better if I turn it this way. The hole is about a ½ inch off, but that's not a huge deal. And I actually like it because then it's going to have, the torsion, if it's going this way, is going to be stopped because it's got this bracket going on the inside versus this basically sitting like this, and there's nothing really, from a torsion standpoint, holding it other than the weld. Okay, so I've got the bracket basically dry fit on there. I haven't welded it yet or anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out, how is it gonna sit? Obviously, I want this to be a little bit more straight up and down. I want it to be more like that. As I bent that bracket up, and what I like about it is it's essentially on the same angle as the tire, so it looks real symmetrical from that standpoint. If I come over here, you can see what it looks like from the back. Just had to kind of bend that bracket around a little bit more. And what was good about it too is, hopefully you can see this detail, is the top of this bracket actually came out a little bit to where I can get that bungee cord into that hole and still have it come through without scraping the gas can. Then it's going to thread through here and then essentially go right up there to that hole, and it's going to keep it in there. So I think, and this is really coming together, and guys, this cost me zero money other than the gas can. Both of these, the tire hanger and the bracket for the gas can, was just junk sitting over in my junk drawers. All right, guys, so I've got my handy dandy Blue Hawk Amazon welder going here. Oh, got to get my helmet. That would help. Let's get this thing welded. Now I'm going to stand back because I've got these sandals on. Obviously, I don't want any slag falling off and hitting my feet, so I'm going to kind of put a really wide stance, and let's see if I can get through this okay. Alright, let's let that cool, guys. I think we're there. Pretty good bead laid down. I'm kind of proud of myself. I'll show you guys in a second. I'm sure you won't be so proud of me because it's pretty ugly, but it's pretty good for my welding. Alright, so guys, Not too bad. It welded on there really nice. I like the way that I turned that around. I think it's going to give a lot more structural support. I went ahead and left that hole open, obviously, so I can hook other things to it if I have to. And then obviously I've got this side. I think it's turning out okay. I was a little concerned about it being a little too low to block this brake light. If you stand back, you can see it's covering about halfway, but I think that's still going to be legal. Okay guys, there's the finished product. I just took a little bungee cord, you know, one of those heavy duty rubber ones, and essentially just bent the hooks a little bit so that they wouldn't come in and, you know, gouge into this. I'm probably going to bend this one back a little bit further because it's just a little bit too pokey still. I'm going to kind of put it back on this side, and then came up here and attached it to that right there, and it goes through there nice. It's nice and sturdy. It's actually kind of resting up against the tire, so to give it a little bit of stability. I think this is going to work. If not, what's nice is I've got this other hole right there that if I need to run another bungee cord up and along the side and then come up here somewhere and attach it, I can do that to kind of keep it from, you know, falling out that way. But I can work on that if I need to. Not too bad, guys. I like it. It's coming along good, and essentially I've got about $29 or 25 bucks, something like that, into that jerry can. Everything else was free, just a little bit of labor, and I got my spare tire mounted and a jerry can on.